Episode 4 of the show was an interesting one. I was constantly questioning if this was something that was happening in reality, inside of her mind, or even if the main character Stacy had died at some point along the way. However, with multiple topics to touch upon, such as the susceptible nature of individuals in the presence of advertising, along with societal pressures that demand a certain standard in order to fit in, and then with the both of them combined, it's a recipe for disaster. And that's exactly what we saw unfold in The Outside. So let's get into it. Here is Cabinet of Curiosities episode 4, The Outside, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Set around Christmas time, we saw two sides to Stacy within this episode. We saw the original Stacy, a bit of a panicker, one who turned to her husband for reassurance and help when she needed it, and she didn't really listen to what others thought about her. She owned her identity, and whilst not 100% being comfortable in her own skin, she understood that she was as pure as can be and was always true to herself. As was depicted with the chicken wing eating, watching TV, and even skipping past the Alo Glo commercial in the first few minutes of the episode. However, we saw her change to a shell of herself where she didn't listen to her husband, so much so that she even killed him because he didn't agree with the obsessive nature that she had on changing her external appearance with the lotion, as it was causing severe harm to her skin, and she became self-centered and focused on fitting in with her work colleagues rather than focusing on what she had right in front of her, and the person who cared about what mattered on the inside, something she now didn't care about. This was something that we heard her husband Keith mention. Keith and Stacy were just regular people, as was also further supported by the title of his book, Poker for Regular People, and she was fed up with it. We saw that Stacy was an outsider at the bank when compared to the women that she worked with, and it was something that she'd felt throughout the entirety of her life when she said phrases like, "Of course it would be me," insinuating that she's been in these types of situations before. The Alo Glo that she got at the start of the episode was the start of the change that she believed she could undergo to bring her happiness with an altered physical appearance. The societal pressure of her wanting to fit in, along with being paired up with the commercial that was on TV, was the start of the obsession. The allergies that she had didn't stop her from using it because she deeply believed that it was going to change who she was on the outside, despite the fact that it was clear to see that it was never going to happen, and it was causing more harm than good. One of the main side effects to using the lotion that the woman in the commercial mentioned was hallucinations. And this would make sense for all of the things that we went on to see with Stacy following the first quarter of the episode. The very idea that the lotion was just coming out of the tube by itself, morphing into a body, and the bathtub being filled up with it was just not possible in the environment and the world that was created. I believe that this was all inside of her head. She was living her life, but what she was seeing was a manifestation of what her mind was telling her. Even the way that the TV was talking to her when the Alo Glo commercial would come on. I believe this was also something she believed she was hearing, and due to the excessive use of the lotion, the hallucinations only got stronger. Whilst it was part of a hallucination, I also think it was a commentary on the personalization of ads that we receive in intrusive ways, like on our social media feeds, emails, and when we least expect it. As the episode went on, we saw more applications of the cream, and she truly believed that things were changing. Right up until the point where she killed her loving husband Keith in an extremely brutal and painful way, showing that the version of herself that he loved at the start was no longer there. This had been a slow decline in the way that she even stopped eating. After Keith was gone, she got into the bathtub that was now full up of the lotion and came up looking like the individual that she always dreamed of being. Straighter teeth, her eyes were more focused, she even cut her hair to how she wanted it. The only thing that was left of her previous self was the taxidermy skill that she had. And she did it in order to preserve her husband Keith and make out like he was still living with her. She now mirrored all of her colleagues in the bank, and when she arrived, they suddenly liked her based on her physical appearance. They gave her the time of day and invited her out for lunch, something that would have never happened before. The deceased Keith was now left at home, stuffed, and was sat there with the same cartoon on that Stacy was watching earlier on in the episode, where they were all after the sheep for its wool. The final shot that we had of the episode once Stacy was in the bank and gossiping like she never had before was a close-up of her looking happy and rising up laughing, looking content. But then, faces of the previous identity that we were all so familiar with in the first half of the episode were coming through. I think this was showing that it was all just a facade, and that no matter what you do, you can try to fit in, but all you're doing is suppressing your true self and it will eventually come out. You can change what's on the outside, but inside you're still the same. I personally believe that all of this was a hallucination based on the application of the cream, and in reality she's standing in the bank with her red, itchy, sore skin. And the others, when they're saying things like, "Are you seeing this?" they're in shock at how she looks based on what she'd done to herself. I don't think what we're seeing is reality, but we're seeing it from her perspective, as we had done for the entirety of the episode, as the episode was about Stacy. And that is what she was seeing, or at least believed she was. It's a strong message that's told in an extremely dark way, and it was delivered perfectly. I thought this episode was a really good one. It was the longest of the bunch that we've had so far, but I feel it served its purpose well. The world that was established felt entirely believable, and you could really sense the demise of Stacy as time went on. She had it all, in the sense that she had a home, a loving husband that cared for her, and a job that paid the bills. But she gave it all up to have an exterior that satisfied other people as well as herself in order to fit in. Ode to Joy would often play throughout the episode, especially when acts of the cream were being applied, showing the joy that she was having in the brief moment, believing that things were going to change. Kate did a great job in playing this role and being the canvas in which she shone a light on the beauty industry, the societal pressures, advertising, and the mental torture one can go through in order to feel as though they need to fit in, even when they're perfect just the way they are. Whilst many of the tales so far have been of the supernatural element and tone, even though this did, there was a strong sense of realism within it with the message that it was trying to convey. The vibrancy of the lighting, colours of the set, and time of year being Christmas made for a contrast to the dark undertones of what we would eventually come to see. Whilst there were no ghosts, demons, or zombie rats, the real ghost in this tale was the products that one can buy, paired with the advertising and our own internal thoughts and self-doubts. I'd recommend giving this episode a watch. I would say this is my third favourite episode of the bunch so far, behind Lot 36, The Autopsy, and sitting just above Graveyard Rats. I'm covering the entirety of this anthology on the channel, so feel free to go over there and see my videos covering the first 3 episodes, or stick around and see my videos breaking down the next few. So, there you have it. Cabinet of Curiosities Episode 4 The Outside, Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.